Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're just getting our windows set up here. Just bear with us for a sec. So welcome to the 11th transmission in our third year, the third series. We're moving along in the transmissions. Tonight, we're going to do a little more work in the DNA. And so I was told when these transmissions were set up as a triad that this transmission and last month's transmission are actually kind of a coupled transmission. What the Syrians explained is that we expanding or activating the 24th chromosome was step A, and the restranding aspect that we're going to be doing this evening is kind of part B. So it's like an extension transmission or a second part of transmission. And they explained that there needed to be a little time interval between these two aspects of the activation. So I'll explain that as we go on a little bit more. But first, I just want to take a minute to welcome everybody. Good evening to those here in North America. Good morning to everybody in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia. And delighted to be here as always. And so we're really in for a beautiful evening together. So let's get started. And I always take just a couple of minutes at the very beginning to kind of orient people who are more, who are novice or new to the transmission or here perhaps for the first time. And so I always like to begin just by introducing the Syrian Blue-White Collective. Now, the Syrian Blue-Whites, they're a group of light beings that came to me from in a meditation back in 2019. And they presented themselves as a luminous consciousness. They came into my vision as a ball of light that was really a white light, but it had a bit of a blue tinge to it. And the light kind of began to create an array, and it separated into light beings. So they looked kind of humanoid in form, but they were really made of light, and they didn't really have any facial features. They were really made of light. They were just pure white light beings. And they explained to me that they are a consciousness from the star system Sirius, and they are part of the Earth's evolution. They're part of the family of light that is connected to the Earth. And they have been part of humanity's evolution from the very beginning of time. And they've been present on the planet in different ways over the eons of humanity. And they've been here in physical form during certain civilizations, thinking specifically of Lemuria and very ancient Egypt. But they've always been here in a consciousness form, and they've been guiding the evolution of humanity from the posture of being kind of like an elder brother or an elder member of the family. And so they've been supporting humanity in its evolution through the duality cycle that humanity is embedded in. Now, because we're going through the ascension process, it's a time of awakening, as most, I'm sure all of you, if not most of you, certainly if not all of you, are aware. We've been talking about it through the ascension transmissions in all kinds of different ways. The Earth is going through a process of awakening. And because of that, they've come to be here in a more conscious, channeled way because they want, first of all, to give us information about healing DNA, calibration, and what ascension means in terms of the DNA transformation. But more than that, they want to be there in a supportive way. So they bring us the opportunity to kind of have get-togethers. And what they do in these transmissions is they join us in these transmissions and they work with everybody participating in the transmissions in an individual way. And so when we go into the meditation, when we do the light language transmissions, you'll feel their presence. If you're sensitive energetically, you'll feel them. You may even see energy, see things in your mind's eye that kind of confirm to you their presence, but you'll feel them. Not everybody sees energy, but everybody is capable of feeling and certainly feeling energy. And so you'll feel them with you and you'll feel the energy that's with you when we do the transmissions. And they explained to me that they've been working for quite some time, even before they revealed themselves to me, in the work of unity field healing, and that the transmissions were developed as an extension of the unity field healing work. And what they explained is there's a large number of light beings who are part of the ascension cycle. They volunteered, if you will, to be ascenders before we were born, and that this is the time when we are living through this ascension journey. We're going through the process of the energetic integration that leads to the ascension in human form. And so they said they're here to help us with this because they can help us energetically in ways that are difficult for us to see and actualize when we're in the physical body. Not hard to see and understand when we're in the form of spirit, but hard to see where we're in the world of form as human beings. So they work with us, if you will, on the other side of the veil, and they can bring energy and consciousness into the transmissions to support us. And therefore, they help us with our own activations and integrations. And so that's kind of the essence of what these transmissions are all about. And they've taken us on a cycle each year. And the original year, that was what we call cycle one, was the inaugural transmissions. And these were kind of viewed as the key components of activating the ascension process. And we went through a series of transmissions, each with their own theme and meditation. And they gave us kind of clues, I guess, or teachings around what this foundational aspect is to the ascension process. And you can kind of see here with the themes of the evenings, the aspects of energy and consciousness that were really part of that journey. In the second cycle, which were called the unity teachings, we began to go through a series of what I call communion energies. In the meditations, we connect with aspects of energy that create a unity for us, energetically speaking, with the things we're connecting with in an energy sense. And so, as we went through this cycle, there were a lot of beautiful meditations and really profound experiences. But at the end of the cycle, they kind of explained that this year too was really higher work. The first year was about really attuning the physical body to prepare for the work of what comes next. And in the second cycle, it's as if we were reaching out in consciousness and in energy to aspects of higher dimensional energy that we need to connect with, if you will, in order to move forward with the ascension process. And so as we completed this cycle, it was a foundational union, if you will, with the ascension. We were kind of like fully embodied now in the ascension cycle. The people will sometimes ask me, if the crystalline grid is awakening and we're attuning to the grid and we're activating our ascension, why do we need to activate more than once? Or why do we need to attune the quantum DNA or attune the energy over and over again in different ways? And what the Syrians have said about this is it's a process, and we don't always realize that. We can think in a very quick conceptual way as human beings that we are activating the ascension and the crystalline grid is awakening. But the journey of living through that is a sequential process. Like everything in life undergoes a life cycle where it develops. And so as we go through the ascension cycle, we're living through a constant energetic transformation. And we're doing it in a world of change. And so the profundity of being able to walk this path, to go through the journey of integration of higher dimensional energy and consciousness in a world that sometimes seems like it's gone a little bit crazy, is quite a challenge. And so you can see the value for creating cycles of support, things that help us with the energetic integrations, that help us empower the unions of the integrations, and then the manifestation of that energy into the world of form. And so that's really the essence of what happens as we go through the process. And it's why we do activations over and over. As we entered into this particular cycle, what they explained was the third year is a process of bringing down to earth and deeply integrating the energies that we had made union with or unity with in the second cycle. And so they explained it's like we were reaching out in a energetic sense to the cosmos, to the world of spirit across the veil, reaching energetic things, making connection with energetic things. And then this year is about bringing them down through into the world of form and manifesting them into the world of form. So it's kind of like a very deep integration of the teachings, of the energy, of the ascension process, and really manifesting it in the world of form. And what they explain to us in the transmissions is that when they work with us, it's a very tailored experience. It's almost like they can read each person's energy. They can understand where they're at in their experience, and they can work in a very unique and tailored supportive way for the person with whom they're supporting. And so that's why the transmissions are both common and at the same time very personal. And people will have internal experiences through the transmissions that are so profoundly important to their own spiritual development because of the personal nature of the energy work that's being done. And so they began this cycle with helping us unravel the influences of energy. And the energy is the energy of all the lineages that we're connected to as a human soul incarnate. And they took us on a experience where we first encountered the energy of the maternal line within our DNA, the paternal line within our DNA, and then the soul's historical or akashic experience. And so these were really beautiful, deeply healing transmissions. And so they help us kind of unravel our connection to all kinds of energies that are woven into the quantum memory of the DNA of all the people who are part of our lineage back through time. Because when a soul is born, we bring quantum information from three aspects. There's the mother's genetics, there's the father's genetics or the paternal genetics, and then there's also the quantum information that each one of us brings as a soul incarnating in the world. And so all of these things blend together and they create kind of a hybrid consciousness, if you will, that kind of governs what we would describe as our personality, our strengths, our weaknesses, our flaws and bobos, our challenges, our potential, our opportunities. All these things kind of soup up into one. But the heavier energies that have been incarnated through the various genetic patterns can also keep us restricted. So these were really healing meditations to go deeply into the Akash and help each one of us release these energies. And what I experienced myself as I went through this process was I'm kind of like I entered into a state of not knowing myself. It was so there were like all kinds of little things that seemed to let go, energy patterns that were shifting. And I felt like I was in a space of not knowing. It was really a strange experience and an interesting experience. And I think many people, from feedback that I've been given about some of these transmissions, experience the same kind of thing. And then it was the next step was a series of shamanic journeys that were helping us reach out and acquire different luminous gifts. And so they explain to us in these transmissions that it's a process of developing the deep self awareness that allows us to understand ourselves as spiritual beings, not conceptually, but as manifest realities. It's one thing to say, you know, I'm a spiritual being, I have a soul. It's a different thing to know I am a soul, and my soul is experiencing the earth and the earth plane. And so there's a bit of a reversal of consciousness that takes place. And it's this reversal that begins to help us acquire the truest sense of self worth and the luminosity to understand our own spiritual path. And so these next three transmissions were really profound gifts. They really came with luminous gifts. They even gave us gifts of light, like seeds, if you will, in the process of doing these transmissions. Then they took us on a journey of the embodiment of crystalline energy through the physical body at different levels and really coming right down into the body. They did a profound pineal empowerment activation, a deep etheric cleaning within the physical body, a recalibration of the mental and the emotional bodies that each one of us holds as a human being, because these bodies all have to be prepared for carrying higher octave energy. So you can kind of think of your physical body as an anchor point or the temple for the soul. And as we prepare to step into more and more powerful or high vibrational ascension patterns, these bodies have to be prepared to receive that integration. They have to be kind of upshifted or leveled up, if you will, like an upgrade. And that prepared us to begin really working deeply within the 24th chromosome. And so the last transmission was catalyzing this chromosome. And we've done aspects of the 24th chromosome before. We've done meditations where the 24th chromosome has been activated in different ways. And in the work of unity field healing, we're always working with the energy of the 24th chromosome. That's kind of how the healing takes place in the unity field healing process. And then tonight's transmission takes us to the next level. But before we talk about that specifically, what they explained was that in this cycle, the work is intensifying, and we're really beginning to weave these crystalline energies into the earth plane. And so they always say to us over and over, it's not just a learning to understand these things. It's a process that is experiential. You're not learning about ascension, you are experiencing ascension. And in the meditations and in the transmissions, they always take us on profound energetic journeys that help us understand the reality of that. And so that's why I always come back to that, because it's not simply about learning and understanding, it's also about integrating and becoming. And it's, in fact, the most important part of the ascension process. So that this cycle, as it developed, was called New Human Genesis. Every little triad was given a name. The 12-month cycle was given a name. And then, so this triad, New Human Genesis, is catalyzing the 24th chromosome, restranding the DNA, which is tonight's transmission, and then the final transmission of this year's cycle, New Human Genesis. So you can kind of see how it's preparing us on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritually quantum level to begin to really embody, to receive and embody higher frequential energies that are integrating into the physical form and are part of our spiritual development and integration. So let's move forward with tonight's work. So I love the title of this, Restranding the DNA. Now, for those of you who are familiar with DNA and the helix, you know in the human body, there's the double helix of DNA, and we have 23 pairs of chromosomes where there are, strands of DNA that comprise each chromosome. And it's actually made up of strings that spiral in a rotating pattern that creates the DNA. What they explained about the restranding principle is that the last transmission was about activating the field of the quantum DNA. But within that field, as it expands and opens, there are calibrations of energy that we can each encounter and receive. And we can think of them as little seeds or packets of energy that are embedded in the DNA system. And when it begins to come online, when it begins to go through the ascension awakening, these little seeds are triggered and they begin to flourish. And they flourish by creating light patterns that create consciousness probabilities within the DNA system. And so they said it's not strings or stranding the way you would think of in a physical term. It's about helping connect this greater field of DNA awakening to the energetic nature of the human being. And so for that reason, they use the term stranding to describe this, because it's a connection. It's like a braiding or a bridge between these two structures. All of the ascension journeys are about working within the energy of the quantum akash of the individual who is incarnate, the soul who is incarnate in form, to be able to move and rearrange the energy to help them integrate the light body. And the light body goes by different terms. We can think of it as the diamond light body, and that's how it presents itself to me. And so this image is kind of a summary of the nature of energetic transformation, leading to the development of quantum energy organization that allows an energy field to be part of who we are, that supports us existing in a higher vibrational energy that represents the shift of what it is to become a new human. Now, the magic of this time on the earth is that this is happening now while you incarnate as this personality or this individual or this person that you know yourself to be in this lifetime. But your soul, remember, has had many lifetimes. You've had many experiences of consciousness, but it's in this one that you're really anchoring again this knowledge and this potential for transformation. So to do that in the body requires all of this rearrangement of energy so that we can begin to integrate both the energy and the flow of consciousness that's part of who we are as a soul and available to us through this quantum chromosome. And so there's a lot of reordering, a lot of transformation that is part of that. And so some of that is being in a constant state of evolution. And when you talk to people who are light workers and healers or who are familiar with the ascension process and all the things that are part of this, we all have lives that have undergone huge metamorphosis. And so you'll always see people have had a life where they've lived in different places. They may have had different marriages or relationships. They may have done different jobs. They've done something for a while and then something else, or they've done something for most of their life. And then all of a sudden they begin doing something else as this energy begins to integrate and settle in. But the energy that settles in is the energy that is being pulsed, if you will, or overlighting the individual that comes from the spiritual plane. In other words, each one of us is being guided energetically and spiritually through our own internal consciousness to be able to awaken this energy and allow us to transform according to what's happening inside of us. And so, what seems like sometimes people who can't really make a decision or make up their mind or feel like they know their path in fullness is because it's meant to be a state of transformation. And so, the hard thing as humans is that we always think we have to set ourselves up to know where we're going. But the paradox of shifting into the new energy is that where you're going is constantly evolving, and therefore you're in a process of ever evolving change. And so we have to become really, really comfortable with this process as we move forward in the ascension journey. And therefore, we will find ourselves making decisions not from checklists or not from long strategic plans, but from moments of inspiration as they arise within us when we know something is right, when it really is coming from inside of us as the right thing to do. And so we can consider that intuition, we can consider that kind of inner knowing, but we really begin to be guided from this internal place that is propelling us to reorganize our external energy, the world around us, our lives, in a way that reflects the patterns of energy within us. And there's times where we feel like we don't know where we're going. And the most valuable thing to do in times like that is to be still. And it's because it's not yet ready to reveal where you're going. And so, therefore, you don't need to know in this moment. You're going to need to know in another moment in time. And therefore, we have to find this ability to allow ourselves to relax into the process and not always be so um, type A or ambitious about doing things in a really structured way. We have to allow the flow of energy to help us make all of the rearrangements that are accompanying the transformations in our life. Because for many of the transformations, different things have to be in place. There may be things you have to go through. There may be other people you need to meet, etc., etc. And so all of this is part of a bigger paradigm of change. But the other thing that really begins to happen is that we understand ourselves inside to be a being of spiritual power. And therefore, we have the ability to create peace in our reality and be governed by the internal principles that we're connecting with that really come from a higher vibrational space. And so we learn do things that you might consider spiritual teachings, but really what they are descriptions of the way someone becomes when they integrate these higher energy fields. So when you look at someone who is ascended, a Buddha or a Christ, or someone who is very evolved in their spiritual maturity, they carry with them a gentle wisdom. They carry with them the ability to be at peace and to be quite fearless at every moment in time, understanding their nature, understanding the spirit that they are, understanding the soul that lives within them, and their connection to the Creator. And it's things like that that always gave Christ the wisdom and the courage to say things like, of my own I am nothing, but one with the Father I am capable of great things. When he would talk to Pontius Pilate, he would say, you have no authority that the Father in heaven has not granted unto you. And that's because he was living so deeply in attunement with his purpose and his journey that nothing could happen to him that was not ordained from a higher spiritual place of being. And so as we move through these energy processes, we become one with that octave of being. And that's why Jesus always taught we're learning to live in the world, but not be of the world. And what he meant by that was there are planes of consciousness, there are ways of being at which human beings can exist. And you can exist deeply in a world of duality, a world of descended form, where everything has a deep polarity, or you can learn to live in a space of seeing that from above, where you understand the duality nature of everything and you learn to transition into a way of being that's based on gentle peacefulness and the observance and the willingness to love everything, because things at the lower level of duality can only be the way they are because they don't understand. And therefore, when we are in this higher space, you see why humanity does the things it does. You see why human beings do the things they do. But you, as an evolving soul, become a little bit separated from that. You're able to look at that for what it is and not be enmeshed in it or reactive to it or patterned by it or convinced of the reality of it. And so when I say words like that, it's pretty easy to see the tests that are before us on the planet today. The earth is going through a tremendous energetic activation. And so as this crystalline energy is awakening, all the energy patterns embedded with human consciousness and human behavior that are based on lower vibrational patterns of existence or based on lower principles of vibration, control, duality, division, all those things, segregation, all the things that keep human beings apart from being willing to understand one another, to accept one another, to love one another, are being bubbled up to the surface in a really profound way. And it's really easy to see that if you watch what's happening on the news, not from the side of saying, I'm left or I'm right or I'm this or I'm that, but looking at the whole thing as a process and understanding it's all duality. And therefore, we can live in a place where we can see things differently and be different, be in a place of peace, be in a place of loving nurturance, be in a place of support and kindness and compassion and unity within our own being. And so that's how you see the school of life right now as a setup to get humanity, human beings, one at a time through their own experiences, to really move forward into this energy. And this has been a very, very challenging year, right up until about 3 or 4 days ago. And many of you may have sensed a big shift in the energy that took place at the solar gate on the 8th. And so the in the month of August, it's the period of time when the ascendance of Sirius on the horizon really comes back after being away for the winter. So it's the rebirth of light and consciousness. If you look at ancient Egyptian teachings. But really, what it represents is kind of a conscious realignment of the sun of our solar system with the sun of the next level of life, which is the Syrian light on the earth. And so, as this light is ascending and we make this reconnection, it's referred to as the lion's gate, the time when the earth reconnects with the spiritual overlight of the Syrian energy. And it's a time where we can really touch it. It's like it's closest to us. We can integrate it. And so it's kind of a reset. It's an energetic reset at a very high and profound spiritual level that kind of gets us on track for the next cycle of evolving energy. And so a lot of times, since the transmissions have been given, I often receive quite a bit of information about the next cycle of transmissions in this week, in the time around now. This year, it actually came a little bit earlier. But this week I really understood more deeply the essence of what the teachings are going to be about for the next cycle. And I'll actually introduce them a little bit later in tonight's seminar. And so since the August 8 period, or the date, you'll see that we've been in this holding pattern on the earth. It's like all kinds of things seem frozen, like we're locked in these conflicts, and it's like we can't get through them. We can't get past them. They seem to be getting worse, and things don't really seem to be changing in a way that help us break through the restrictions. But around this time, there was like an energy gong, if you will. It was like a sound went through the energy field, and there was a huge influx of light and energy that came on the planet. And it's integrating now, it's kind of weaving through us now as we go through these next days and weeks. And so it's a great time for meditating, and they'll be bringing this energy into the process of our meditation tonight through this ascension. And so to really help us anchor ourselves, if you will, or embed ourselves in the energy of what this Syrian gate opportunity really represents. As we each individually go through this ascension, what I've explained in prior lectures and teachings is related to the teachings that come along with unity field healing, where we're going through this quantum expansion within what is referred to as the 24th chromosome. And the 24th chromosome is a body of light that's specific to a soul that is incarnating in a structural form. So every one of us, as a soul being born on the earth, come through the presence of a 24th chromosome that we can think of as a quantum structure that is the gateway or the connection to our own spiritual energy, our higher self. And so the light of the self, the higher light of being, is coming down through the DNA system. And so this picture on the left is kind of a representation of that. The way I would explain it is, it's the higher self, the light of the higher self, the I am presence within us, emerging through the crystalline DNA system to trigger the recalibration within the system, so that what it's patterning in the world of form and creation is a reflection of that higher light. And so the light, as it works in the DNA, is helping us create the diamond light body that's manifesting around us as beings that are incarnate in the physical world of form. So I'm always trying to conceptualize these things in a way that can be understood. Going back at one point in time, in one of the visions I had during the development of the unity field healing work, I've explained this to many of you before, I was shown this 24th chromosome, and it presented itself in a way that showed me that each helix, it was if there was a life form within the helix, but one of them was luminous, representing the light in the incarnation of this being, the person who we are today. But coded within this quantum structure is a library, is an access to many lifetimes, many different incarnations that are all part of a pattern and an experience of a unique soul energy. And so the 24th chromosome can be thought of as the soul's DNA. And it comes to merge with us each time we incarnate in the world of form. And it's through the mechanism of the 24th chromosome that the soul makes contact with the body. And so the physical body is brought through the energy of the maternal and the paternal DNA merging and creating a little baby. But the soul's DNA comes as a trinity and merges with the physical body, weaving the energy of the soul into the experience. And this really explains the uniqueness of a soul, the calibration of a soul in the body. And to explain this in a really understandable way, I'll often say, if you look at the children of different parents, you'll see that even though they have almost the same identical DNA, even if they're brothers and sisters, they're very different people. And the differences are not because of genetic variations from the mother and the father. They're really different because of the energy they bring with them as a soul into the world of form. And so when this energy is very active, you will see children who bring great, 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 great gifts across the veil. So you'll see musicians and artists and singers and people who've had lifetime after lifetime, incarnation after incarnation in certain kinds of energies. They will be born, and it's like as a 2 year old or a 5 year old, they can really do things that normally we wouldn't perceive ourselves as doing until we're an adult. And it's because they're bringing their energy, they're bringing that information and energy across the veil, and there's little veiling to it. Artistic and creative type of things are common in that way, but also certain kinds of intelligence and wisdom. You'll see these little child prodigies who are born today, who you can see have this incredible knowledge of physics and quantum physics and all kinds of things that are starting to wake up on the planet because they're part of the future. They've come at this point in time to awaken certain kinds of knowledge and opportunities on the planet. And so much of what we're going to experience as the Earth goes through this next phase of metamorphosis, the developing of clean technology, the developing of purification systems that remove the pollution that we've created as a collective, the dependence on fossil fuels, all these kinds of things, it's all going to transform in the next generation or two through the birth of people who carry this kind of energy and information in their spiritual genetics. And so they'll be born and they'll bring these gifts alive through their awakening and through their development. So you'll see it in very young children who have interesting attractions to certain kinds of things. And we'll also see it very often in children on the autistic disorder, like the autistic spectrum, because these are children that are being born not with deficiencies or problems or reactions to certain things. They're bringing with them energy that's pushing the envelope of being human. They're bringing with them tremendous sensitivities and expanded sensory experiences that allow them to experience life in a very different way than what we would traditionally be doing as a human being, because it's as if they're birthing new potentials into the world of form so the body can recalibrate for the collective of humanity. And so all human beings will become more clairaudient, all beings will become more clairvisionary, all beings will become more intuitive and in alignment with the energetic principles of living in a higher vibration reality. So you can kind of see how it works together as a bunch of individual souls doing collective things that move the whole system forward. And so as we do this work, what we're doing is we're expanding this DNA field. And it was set up in a way that when we're born at this point in time, and there was an opportunity for the earth to go through the awakening, it would trigger within people this awakening knowledge and interest, and they would live through the experience just as we're doing here tonight, going through this knowledge, going through this information, and going through the energetic adjustments and integration that allow us to walk kind of from the old world into the new. And so that creates the bridge, kind of like bridgers. There's a group of human beings who are meant to kind of walk the old world into the new, all of us in some way. But to go through the ascension process is a very specific thing. And that really explains your draw to it. It comes from inside your soul. So as we do this, and the energy, the quantum field of energy that is within our DNA system begins to communicate with us in a more open way, in an expanded way, and in a more powerful way. And so we find ourselves recalibrating all the time. And so we learn to go through energetic adjustments where we're releasing things within us that keep us bound to old energy patterns or principles. But it also allows us to expand the energy and open up to new gifts and talents and abilities. And as we do this, it's sometimes referred to as the birth of a galactic human. It's kind of like we go from a human being who is identified just as a being born to earthly parents who live a lifetime as a human on the earth to one who is aware of their galactic heritage and their spiritual connection with a very vast and expanded family of light that reaches all across the galaxy and is part of a much more profound and expanded system of light and consciousness. Because the earth is earmarked, if you will, to awaken to this understanding. And so it's a beautiful way of thinking about what the ascension is. And it's why all these strange and seemingly disjointed things become part of the process. We encounter light beings from other civilizations. You learn to work with angels and higher quantum energies. You become attracted to sacred geometry, and you begin to understand that it's kind of the words of the creator in energetic forms that are coded into energetic symbols, and they're part of a structure, an invisible structure that's the etheric blueprint for reality. And that we begin to connect with that field of information and knowledge and experience. And it's because we are interfacing as a little physical being in our little physical body with this expanded, through the veil, if you will, aspect of consciousness that allows us to bring new things into form. And some of those things are related to energies of healing and transformation. But other aspects that are gifts and talents and things that we'll use in the service of the well being of humanity in different ways. And so we're all expanding in some way, shape, or form in terms of consciousness and light. But this particular process is one that requires support to help us make this integration. And so I find this image that I've kind of created here as a composite kind of explains this principle. Sometimes a picture is really worth 1,000 words. So we're really emanations of the creator. We have a galactic core in our being. We're higher self beings that have volunteered, if you will, or we've been created as part of an expanding system of light and consciousness. And this energy and information is kind of weaving its way down into the world of our physical being. And we're learning to receive it, to understand it, and ultimately to embody it as we go through the process of ascension. And so you can really see how this, it's not just a DNA recalibration, it's the whole consciousness recalibration, and how the restranding principle kind of weaves into the teaching in the way that it does. And so you can kind of see that if you can imagine that when you were born and you had the consciousness, the amount of light and awareness that you held as a child when you were first born, and as you grew, you were limited in your consciousness to a certain amount of information and understanding. But as this DNA becomes activated, you have the experience of different things. You may remember past lifetimes. You may have these spontaneous, energetic experiences where you realize your nature is not limited to being alive in the body. You're more than that. You're a consciousness in the body. And that you also have other lifetimes that you can remember. And there are other beings that are part of the galactic system with which you can communicate and have experiences with in different ways. You can kind of see how, as you go through this expansion, what's happening within the DNA system. With it, it brings tremendous opportunity for healing because we have coded within our DNA energetic patterns that can restore or create healing within the body, within the etheric body, within the mental and the emotional bodies, and even within the spiritual aspects of the energy system. So as the energy is expanding and the vibration, if you will, is increasing, terms we can understand, it creates a higher resonance reality where there's an opportunity to heal things in the physical world of form. And that's why so many people who are interested in the ascension process are also incredibly drawn to healing work and the delivery of, if you will, of energy and information to help humanity thrive in new ways. So much of healing is about creating a state of internal balance that allows us to receive the instructions that come from within to help us make the adjustments and the recalibrations in the energy system to manifest them in the world of form. And so it kind of looks at healing in a very different way. The other thing to understand is that there are geometries that are part of this higher dimensional reality. When we look at sacred geometry, we've reviewed much of this through the prior teachings and the ascensions, the patterns of geometry that correlate with sacred elements, the yin and yang symbol, the duality of that's embedded within that that creates the torus of energy that is the nature of the human being, the Star of David pattern that represents the perfected spiritual being in the world of form, the 5 star of the pentagram. And so all of these energy patterns are structures of light that exist kind of as full on teachings, full on embodiments of divine principles or divine understanding. The geometries contain in their perfection a really expanded field of knowledge that's not just a structure, it's actually a whole tool of life. And so the patterns of these energies they vibrate, they sing, they become part of the living energy that's sent to us. And we are on the recipient end, if you will, of these energies of transformation. I even see crop circles in this way. The patterns that are delivered in the energy system of the earth and are embedded in the field, particularly in England, they are geometrical patterns that are coded in the grid, and they represent perfection geometry. They represent light patterns that create perfect harmonious fields of a certain kind of nature and information. And as they awaken and sing within the crystalline grid, it's like they're singing knowledge, they're singing healing, they're singing wisdom, they're singing transformative consciousness into the field of the earth. As we go through the attunements and transmissions ourselves, these geometries are also singing upon us. And we're like as they are vibrating and singing, they're helping us restructure or recalibrate the energy system that is part of our own human being, our own human experience. So this really represents the 24th chromosome represents this true connection that each one of us holds to our higher self and source energy. But we can think of these geometries as existing within this quantum field. And as the quantum field expands and these geometries are vibrating more profoundly, they're like seeds of light that are sung awake, and they begin to vibrate. The energy, the perfection of the energy, the harmony of the energy begins to develop within this quantum structure, and it begins to sing down to us or vibrate down upon us, helping us to create the pattern. So when we look at this picture, you can kind of see it's what I've done with it is I've taken the 24th chromosome and I created a wave or a motion in it as if it is sung to life. And so as the energy of this work is singing through the DNA, you can see how it's expanding and recalibrating the energy system that's part of the DNA structure. And as it opens and the energy flows in this way, it's creating a recalibration of the connection between us and the chromosome itself. And this opens up new channels of information, new aspects of energy. And so this is what we can conceptualize as the restranding process. And so tonight's transmission, tonight's meditation will take us into a place to help us experience this very particular aspect of the activation. So it's kind of like another 24th chromosome activation, if you will, but it's really this recalibration process. It's allowing the energy that's expanding in the DNA to make connection, to weave its way down, if you will, and connect with the energy field and to integrate deeply within the energy system. So in the DNA, the way the Syrians have talked about it is that there are seeds lying dormant until now, and they're being activated by the ascension shift. And as they're activated, it's this activation that's opening channels of information, this aspect of information that we're connected to. So we can think of it as seeds awakening, these energetic structures that had been there waiting for this moment in time. And as they're awakened, they begin to flourish, they begin to develop, and they begin to help us integrate the energy of change. So the seeds have many purposes. Some are to stabilize the human energy system. And the way to translate this is it's a facilitation of a human being able to hold the neutrality in a shifting energy system, to be the eye in the storm, to be calm in the center of chaos and change, allowing us to become that person that is really at peace, not a fake peace, a really integrated peace that can be still and look at the transformation around them from a smile, from a place of gentle knowing and neutrality that understands the magic of the unfolding change. And so, in a very practical way, this means that peace that passes understanding, the peace that stays with us through the nature of all circumstances. We find ourselves feeling more integrated, less in our mind, less in our mental and emotional reactions, and very slow to react or anger when encountering difficult energies. You'll find that even if you have the tendency to react that way, something kind of steps up in you and says, "What are you doing? You don't need to do this." And we allow ourselves to reset and pull ourselves back and not go into the same patterns of energy. And we begin to really witness. When you're in a place of neutrality, when you're in a place of peace, you become able to see. So if you see someone who's going through difficulties and challenges, you don't see them as a problem. You witness them as a soul in suffering. You see them as somebody who is doing what they're doing or being the way they're being because they are experiencing some kind of internal pain. Now, that doesn't mean we can always do something about the pain and we can't change the nature of the person. Sometimes you can't even speak to a person in that state of mind, but you can always understand what's happening and you live it as a witness, as someone who's watching and seeing the experience. And what you do in response is you evoke the energy of higher consciousness, the compassion, the love, the understanding, the wisdom that can flow through that neutral state of being. So you can kind of see how the seed creates something that's really, really profound. As we learn to live more and more in that space of witnessing, internal understanding, we really begin to develop more intuition and insight. It's like we're living in a place that's less disturbed by the everyday vibrations of humanity and the human mind. And therefore, we can see things more clearly. We have an enhanced intuition. We can connect spiritually with the insight within us. We receive it more directly, and we know how to honor it and to operate from that place of intuitive understanding. So you can kind of see how these seeds awakening all kinds of magical things. The other is gifts of grace that arise in this process. Some of the things that are given are not just the stabilization aspect and allowing us to live in this higher dimensional space of understanding, but gifts or tools that help us move forward in the energy of the future. And so it gives us a greater awareness of the soul's construct. We have knowledge about it, we have experience about it, and we develop a more illuminated purpose or potential that flows from that place. We have more direct reception of personal guidance. It's almost like we can really hear the guidance we need to receive. We can hear and understand the intuition that we receive in moments in time that is meant to guide us or help us on our path. We develop these enhanced powers of internal rebalancing and self healing, and also powers of assisting others in healing and transformation, and many, many, many different kinds of talents. Too many to mention because they're as diverse as the souls that are born on the planet. Each one of us has within us certain attributes, certain potentials, certain abilities that are really unique to the soul's design. So there's a reason your soul is here at this moment in time. There's a purpose for each single one of us to be here at this point in time. And the mind does a lot of gymnastics with that because it's always trying to figure out what is my purpose, what am I supposed to be doing, etc. And the way of the soul is not so much a description as it is a way of being. But in that space and that way of being, there are talents that awaken within each one of us that are really things we bring to life. They're things that we bring into the world of form because of the nature or the structure of our own soul's energy. And so as each one of us goes through this integration, it's these talents, these internal aspects of who we are as souls that really, really become alive and awaken. And so you can kind of see how we go into a bit of the details, but really it's also summarizing the whole process of what it is to integrate this higher aspect of dimensional energy, the diamond like body. And so that brings us to this transmission, restranding the DNA. So we're going to spend the time this evening from here working on the energy of what this means and to have some experiences to help us integrate the energy of the process of what this really, really means in a personal way. So from here, what we will normally do is the next thing will be a light language transmission. And so this is a meditation that we do in this part of the transmission. And these transmissions are unique each time. And a little bit about light language is the light language is a way of expressing vibration. It's an energy that emanates from another dimensional reality into this dimensional reality through the form of patterned language and light. So the language is delivered in a way that's recognizable as a language, but it's not a language that we really can understand, where it's a language of energy that brings transformative power. And so the way that it was explained to me is when the light language is delivered and we're each attuning to the vibration of the words being spoken, each one of us will react to the energy or the patterning of the energy in a different way. And I know many of you have had very profound experiences through the light language activation. What they explained to me is that these have to be coupled with the teachings so people can understand what they're living as they go through these attunements. And so when we go through this transmission tonight, it will be focused on the essence of the restranding the DNA work and that we're doing in the collective theme of what this particular transmission is all about. So, are you ready? So, as we go into this light language transmission, we'll do this kind of in a meditative way. We'll just go into a space of meditation and then I'll begin to speak the language of the transmission. Just allow yourself, give the intention to really receive from this process everything that's perfect and tailored to you at this moment in time that supports the fullness of your well-being, the fullness of manifesting your potential in this lifetime on the planet. Just give yourself the intention to receive through the transmission that which serves your ultimate highest good and your ultimate highest purpose. And there's nothing to do at this moment but to receive. Just allow yourself to be in that receiving, receptive state of mind. Receive from the world of spirit. Take a couple of nice big breaths into your body. Breathe in and exhale. And breathe in and exhale. Just imagine for a moment in consciousness that you're descending from your mind to your heart. Just feel your consciousness draw down into your body. Feel centered in your heart chakra. Just imagine that you're shining from your heart instead of being present in your mind. And as you make this connection with the heart center, you feel the energy there become very active. And the heart center begins to expand as if it's shining a light, like a light bulb, where the energy is being turned up and the light is getting brighter and brighter. And it shines through the heart center. And you begin to feel the energy moving through your physical body, your etheric body, like a little wave or vibration of energy. And you'll register this in your physical body. If you pay attention, you'll feel this little vibrational shift as the energy moves through you in this way. And the energy expands into a beautiful sphere of light around your body. And there's a column of light that develops, extending all the way from the crown of your body down to the base of your body, the perineum. And it extends below you and into the earth. And looking upward, there's a column of light that extends above your body into the space above you, the world of spirit, the sky. And you're connected above and below. And a beautiful torus of energy begins to develop around your body. This is like a donut shaped structure of light, and it begins spinning very gently. And you can feel the energy rotating around your body. And there's energy moving into the structure from both above and below. And you're a bridge between these worlds. You're an energy system that manifests from the stars in the world of form on the earth. And just let the energy flow into your energy system. You'll feel in your body, in your nervous system, little vibration as the energy is moving in this way. And the energy is flowing all around you. You can feel a beautiful wave of energy. And you have a sense of the recalibration that takes place as the energy is working in this way. And just let yourself receive from this experience. Everything is supervised by your higher self. Intention is purposed for your highest good, your highest development. And as we find ourselves in this expanded energy, it's as if we rise just a little, as if we're floating out of our body. We stay connected to our physical body, but there's an energy shift. It's as if we ascend just a little bit above the body and begin to float. And we move into a space, a quantum space, where we're all together in this same space simultaneously. We're not encumbered by time. Whenever you are participating in this attunement, it's happening in the now. And we're together in a circle. We're all facing inward. And a pyramid forms above the group in the form of a four-sided pyramid with a square base made of light. And at the apex of the pyramid, there's a light that forms. It's pulsing and sending waves of light and energy down through the pyramid. And we can feel as this energy is delivered in this way, it contains both information and healing. There's an energy of healing that is descending in this experience. And just breathe into your body as you encounter this energy. Just let the energy work with you individually. And together, we're supporting each other as we work as a collective. And above the pyramid, a beautiful energy begins to take form. First, it's just a building of energy, like a little cloud of light. an essence of energy. And it begins to take the form of a being. We can feel from the presence of this being the depth of wisdom and understanding that they carry as a spiritual source. And there are rays of light and energy extending all around their face and their head, like the feathers on a headdress, a really beautiful luminosity. And the being raises their hand with two fingers pointing upward. And as they hold this posture and energy, an energy is conveyed through the pyramid as if it's speaking to us in energy form. And there's a message to deliver, a light language transmission from this space and this structure of communion. And so we begin. Ishtu akutotoya hatoya. Yutku atoya upataya shutoya tata. Estukuyotua yuchu ayo hahutua. Ya ya tutua ya shutaya. Eshufu te ayaha. Tuya hahatu iyu patuyana katayana. Ifashatuka iputuyu u katayahata. Shutayana tukyo a tuya ofahata. Tuya iyu shua. Patu makalopetiat kayasu udukayat. Shuata yutu uwanyatana muketaya abo du yahatiyata. Patuyas ketuya potuya. Ashunataya. Ta u ayatada. U fushutu ya kutaya atu ayahata. Itukia isekatoya hata ta ayapu ikaya utabia. Ikutu ahatakaya haha utu du 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 taya tato e ukutu ish aya hatakaya ya hama tu ya tatata ishu itaya hato e yo taya tata e patoya ishu tuyata e tu ya tataya tatata. Uhutu yahan tayang kutuyayana kutuya tu yakatan. Emanutu tuyot e tuyataha. Otuyahana tu a tuyahana kiyai tatayana. Bidu yatu ya kayat utu. يخشوه استوكيا وتوياتا بين بشكتوايا تكيا توايا هاها تكيا كي كوكتايا تاتا Ebetukia ata ita kuchukalala ya ita kushutu u ahaha iha ika u lala kuya kuya Patui aha yahana iha kuya ana ishtukya e fasula tutiya gabu tu ya katuya men ishtolom patitalo ashtaan stase. And we pause just for a moment in this void, the presence, and just allow yourself to really integrate the energy through the experience of the transmission. Feel the beings with you, supporting you and holding you in the process of integration. And the energy begins to settle. And as we look above us, I can see the light of the guide who is with us begin to dissolve gently into space, as if they are retracting from the interface of the energy experience. And the structure of the pyramid begins to dissolve. There's a beautiful shower of light that just rains down over all of us in the group together. Feel the energy move through you, and gently you begin to feel your energy settling back from this space and into your physical body. You'll feel as if you're floating down ever so gently into the body. And your energy grows stronger in the body, as if you're returning to the body and bringing with you the energy and the gifts from the experience. And gently weave them into your body. You can breathe. Just release. And as you're ready, you can move your body, your fingers, your toes. And gently allow yourself to return to your body. Come on back into the space. Take your time. That was very powerful. And breathe into your body. As you settle back in your body and move forward, and we will take a little time to ask questions and share information. I see Tracy advising to us for all to drink and breathe through our heart. Yes, remember to do that. As you're integrating these energies, drink a lot of water. Just let your body use the water to circulate the energy, to release physical things that are letting go from the body, and keep you cool, keep your energy system cool, really high octave energies. So, um, let's take a moment now for questions. So, for questions, we'll do it in the standard way. If you have questions, you can type them in the Q&A box, not the chat box. But we can, if you have any comments or things you want to share, feel free to put them in the chat box. We love that. And if you have any questions, type them in the Q&A box, and then I'll go through the questions one at a time. I can see people are taking, I can feel people are taking time to reintegrate into their body. So we're just going to do this slowly and gently. And as the questions start coming in, I'll begin to answer questions. All righty. So speaking of water, I'm going to have a drink. So let's start with Pam's question. Thank you for explaining the Lion's Gate on the 8th. That day during meditation, I was effortlessly lifted into a spacious bliss that lasted 3 hours or more, feeling an internal energy breathing in me. Later through the night, I awoke recalling this awareness often. Is there a way to understand what is happening to the DNA when this happens? Anything I can visualize or do to continue the process? Well, that's a beautiful experience, Pam, and it's the perfect time to allow ourselves to have these kinds of experiences. And this energy continues. So when the energy is high and in certain configurations, it's easier to have certain kinds of experiences like this. And so part of it is the timing, the change, the energy on the planet, and part of it is you and the shifting in your own vibration. So, the best thing to do when you're experiencing things like this is to simply allow them. The only thing you ever really need to do is stay centered. So, if you find your mind wandering, if you find yourself unfocused, just draw yourself back into the center of your heart and feel your presence there, and then let yourself re expand from the place of your heart and let that energy come up through your energy field. And each time you do that, it's like you're breathing with the energy that is with you. And so you'll see that you slip back into the experience. If you're kind of like losing the experience, it will help you shift back into the experience. It's a really good idea to take time every day, all of us, each and every one of us, to take time every day to be still, to move into a meditative space and energy and go through a process inside where we just kind of let go of our thinking, let go of our standard emotions, our experiences. It's really a time to commune with the spirit within. And just by doing that, we'll see that we begin to have more and more of these profound energy experiences. It's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. So I hope that helps with the understanding. Thank you for sharing. That's really beautiful. Tom, hi Tom. Thanks for helping to keep things real in these unreal times. I know you've spoken about changes to the physical body. What can you say about things like sleep patterns, tiredness, a sense of being overstimulated, almost buzzy at the cellular level? So I'm really glad you asked this specific question because people are experiencing some things right now with the nature of the energy changes that are fairly common and fairly universal, really. And so one of them is this sense of higher energy in the body. The body feels a buzziness or like electricity, not quite an electricity, it's more of a vibration. And it comes and goes, but it's present. And there's times where you feel like the vibration is such that you can't focus, you can't think, you can't concentrate. Sometimes it makes you feel a little like buzzy and alive, and at other times it's creating a sense of a fatigue in the body. So it's almost like you're energetic and buzzing, but at the same time, you can't focus and think, and you also feel tired in the body. And so, right now, because of the nature of the energy integrations that are taking place, this is a very common, what we would call a side effect or aspect of the process. And what you'll notice is if you just kind of surrender into it, if you don't fight it, but you just kind of let yourself be at peace with it, you'll move into this deep inner stillness and you begin to kind of experience life from that place of stillness. It's an energy upgrade, if you will, or a higher vibrational energy that's helping us reset our pattern to this higher vibrational state. The other thing that's happening is it tends to be stronger in us when we're asleep at night and the world is quiet around us. And so sometimes it will wake up and we're going through energy experiences. Sometimes we're going through dreams and healing experiences, but other times it's just part of the natural cycle and we'll kind of wake at the end of a REM cycle. We're not remembering dreams or astral travels or anything, but when we wake up, because of the buzziness in the body, it feels sometimes like it's hard to go back to sleep. And so the reason that's happening is because the energy is lifting, the higher vibrational energy is vibrating in that way. And so there's different things that will work for different people. Personally, what I do is if I can't fall right back to sleep, I don't fight it or get angry about it. I'm actually grateful. I kind of move into a posture of gratitude. And I'll say, I know I'm waking now, not because I'm having insomnia or problems, but because I'm going through energetic changes. And if I find I can't fall right back to sleep, I'll get up for a few minutes or sometimes a half an hour. I'll do something, I'll have a little sip of milk, I'll do something just to kind of shift my energy and my mind and feel more anchored in the 3D. And then I'll go back to bed and fall back asleep. And so that's kind of how I deal with it personally. And so what tends to happen is if you have to get up in the morning or you're going to work or those kinds of things, and then you think I'm not sleeping, and then you get stressed, and then you can see how that can turn into a mental and an emotional frenzy. And so that doesn't help at all. And it's really going to make sure that you're not going to fall back asleep. So rather than deal with it by reacting mentally, emotionally, just kind of accept it from a place of actual gratitude and realize why you're living what you're living. And then hopefully, when you go back to bed after whatever you need to do, you'll be able to fall back to sleep. It's almost like a reset. You kind of shift your mind. If you can fall right back to sleep, I would do that. But if not, just get up for a little while and then go back to bed. So that's great. And second question, is there any reason one would feel unsettled, as if nothing holds significant value right now? Everything is interesting, but nothing is calling. It's almost like a boredom, a vacuum before something very special is about to occur. So you have really struck the nail on the head of the collective ascension sentiment. Everybody going through these energy changes are kind of going through this experience where not a whole lot in the external world around them is stimulating or directive or enticing. It's almost like we're observing it, and yet we're living in this really baseline state where we feel like it's almost like being in a cocoon. Imagine there's a butterfly developing, but you're in the internal process of the energy transforming. And so we're not quite at the point of the manifestation. We're just in that space of transformation. That's a really good description of the energy. And it truly feels like a vacuum. As we move through the energy of this year, there are going to be some really exciting energy changes that take place. And there'll be some challenges still, but there'll be exciting energy things. And people are going to start to feel a bit of a gentle lifting and a sense of effervescence that's been missing for quite a while. And so hang in there and you'll see the energy begins to shift. And the other thing is, as this happens, you're going to have a renewed sense of insight and inspiration. There'll be things that kind of stir up or awaken that really help you move forward in a way that's really guided and specific to you and your path, and for each person and their path. So you're bang on for me. I feel exactly the same way. How's that? And it's also, even though we're living and we're doing things and we're all experiencing things and participating the way we should, this is kind of an internal experience for many, many people. And there's a lot of fatigue. People have been telling me a lot. They feel really kind of tired, and it's an unnatural kind of a fatigue. And just appreciate it for what it is. It's the energy of a reset. And so you kind of slow down. It's almost like the void, the dull before the excitement, or the calm before the, I don't want to say the calm before the storm, because it's not a storm. It's the calm before the awakening, calm before the transformation. Big energy changes are ahead. So hang in there, and things are going to get a little bit more exciting. You'll see. Robert, I was wondering if you could comment on the capacity for work to contribute to the healing of new genetic diseases such as Morgellons, and whether the work we're doing will assist others in humanity in contending with these issues. So in terms of genetic changes, the most significant thing for us to realize is that we go through our own experience, and the light in us is transforming energy. It creates healing within us individually, but it also creates healing through the Akashic genetics, through the experience of a family unit. And so all the kinds of energy, the different aspects of energy that can bear influence on the DNA and the internal quantum energy influences on it, will be recalibrated through the process of what's happening. And so this work, the work of unity, field healing, but in general, the ascension at large, the energy that is arriving through individual human beings and raising the vibration and the energy of the collective, will begin to do this. The best way to think about certain energy states is they can't exist in certain states of balance, harmony, and vibration. So as the overall energy is raised, the things that exist within the energy field, less than that can't be supported in the space. And that creates a very innate and general transformation. So a longer answer, but I hope a valuable one, Robert. Thank you. Jenny, hi Jenny. I've been doing work with clearing and restranding for the last 6 months. The work is powerful and rich, and the information is vast and complex. I have been learning about 12 strands of DNA and the triple helix. Do you or the Syrians have anything to share about these? We'll go more in depth into the strands in future lectures. Thank you for all you do in the service to humanity. So the thing that's happening is that different human beings are receiving energy and information in different forms, but the energy and information is about the same process, but it's perceived in different ways. And so there are some people who will be shown energy visions that teach them about 12 strands and 24 strands. I've even seen 144 strands. The way that they explained it to me is that there's an energy expansion. So to think of it as the 24th chromosome, and as this structure expands, it's awakening different fields of energy. Cryon in his teaching talked about layers of DNA, not strands of DNA, but layers. And so this is another conceptual way of understanding the energy and the changes that are activating or taking place in the system. When they taught me this work, they said that if you over engage mentally, you're kind of trying to understand something that can't actually be truly understood in a mental way. So whatever you learn, it's going to be true yet limited. And so what they've said is there's no better way to know than experience. And so they always keep their teachings relatively simple. There will be more information forthcoming about the nature of the 24th chromosome and the DNA system, the quantum DNA system, as we go forward. So there will be more information, but for now, it's a time for the integration and the experience. So that's kind of how they focus on the work. So, but like I said, there are many other teachers and people who see things from experiences and their own internal experiences that are valid and important and have things to contribute. So you can learn about any of them, you can experience any of them, But you'll see that as you go through it, simplicity will always be the strength. It'll always be what brings you back to the core energy of the teaching. So that's cool. Cynthia, hi Cynthia. It's been said that the enlightened children coming into the planet now, 30-ish and younger, have no karma. Where does that leave the rest of us over that age still working out our karma? So the whole purpose of the ascension, Cynthia, is karmic clearing, it's a karmic release. And so just as the children come in, the difference is they're wired up in an energy that they don't have to carry patterns of duality balance. So they're born in a more unified consciousness, and they still have duality, they still have experiences of thin duality, but they're not bearing the energy of teaching that comes through the karmic cycles. The people who are experiencing the ascension are releasing karmic energy. So as the healing work we do, as we go through these various levels and steps of integration and energy change, the energy that we would refer to as our karma is leaving us. And part of this emptiness, this space of not feeling like much is happening in a certain way on the planet right now, is because this karmic energy is lightening. That whole base boredom, that whole sense of little happening in a certain way, is about the energy that karma would drive being stilled and calmed down. So you're actually going through an experience of releasing any energy related to karma that's either personal or familial in any way. And so you'll see that it's a release of karma. Then you begin to live in the same state of balance. You're not influenced by karmic overlay. You're creative and following the guidance of your soul and your intuition, and you really begin to live your life from that framework. And you're well on your way to doing it. And so you'll see that you're more like the new kids than you are like the old kids. You're more like the people that are being born and becoming rather than the history of humanity on the earth. And so you'll attune and connect more in consciousness with that way of thinking and being. And you're well on your way in doing it. So you'll see. That's a great question. Hi, Carolyn. How are our pets and animals affected by the influx of energy and changes? Lately, my dog is so easily triggered with anxiety. Is this part of it? It certainly can be, Carolyn, because the animals, pets, the nature kingdom, they're much more in tune with energetic changes and with nature consciousness. But the but because the energy is amping up and influxing, different animals will receive the energy of the experience in different ways. So you may notice some peculiar behaviors, particularly in animals that have a relationship with humanity. When you go into the wilds of nature, animals are going to be in essence with their species, and it's not going to be as obvious. But when you're with animals that have a relationship with human beings and are connected to the quantum experience of a relationship with human beings, they're going to be a little bit more susceptible to energetic things related to the ascension. And so this can produce anxiety, it can produce unusual reactions, kind of hyper alertness, this kind of stuff. And you may also notice that they sleep more or they develop kind of different patterns and habits as they're adjusting to the energy. The animals will tend to do what they need to do to feel good in the energy of the change. So you may find that they lay in certain postures or they go to different parts of the energy in your home or in your space because there's something about the energy in that space that really soothes them or supports them. And so be patient with them, be loving with them, be kind with them, and nurture them just as we nurture ourselves through the whole experience. But yes, this is a great question and very common. Hi, Leila. So thank you for this beautiful transmission. All week I've felt a heavy sense of something big about to happen, along with a sense of unreality. Like I'm sitting here at my desk, but there's nothing underneath me. The universe is underneath me. I love that. Like all around me looks familiar, but feels unfamiliar. These feelings come and go, but seem to be linked. So it's again, it's a really beautiful connection to the energy we were talking about earlier, how we're all in this space of this. I'm trying to think of the right words for it. It's almost like we're in an incubator and we're all like hovering and floating in the energy of the incubator. And as we are experiencing the energy around us, it feels like we're not really fully immersed or present. Like there's an unreality to everything going on around us. Like it's like being in the womb. You know, you're there, you're developing, you're busy, you're developing and then creating internal growth and change, and you're turning into something new. And the whole world is around you outside the womb, but you're not really a part of it yet. And that's a little bit, I find, what the energy is right now to be a human being. We feel like we're being incubated. And as we go through this, it will give a birth. And this sense of something big about to happen is the energy of coming forward in a new way. And so there'll be things happen on the planet, but there'll also be things happen within our own energy that feel like we're birthing ourselves in that way. So I think you really poetically and very beautifully capture the energy of really what's happening. And I'm sure many, 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 many people who are listening and participating will resonate with what you're describing and feeling. All right. We did it. I think everybody's so deep in the energy of that transmission that we don't have too many questions. That's awesome. So, so let's take a little break here. So let's see. I'm just going to make sure we don't have any questions. Perfect. Before we go forward into the full transmission, we'll take a little break. And I always just run through a little bit of housekeeping stuff quickly before we take a break. And we will do that now, and then we'll take a break before we do the transmission later. So I always want to just orient people to the website. So all of the Syrian transmission work and all the work of unity field healing, the practice of unity field healing, is all on one site. And on this website, there's a little tab up here for the Syrian Collective. And if you click on the tab, it opens up to a few different pages. And this is the page where the transmission meditations are held in sequence. And this is where the typed out version of the channels that are delivered are also provided. So if you kind of go through that, it'll take you to those things. If you've missed prior transmissions and you want to do the meditation, just the meditation part, they'll all be listed here. So it's an easy way of finding them if you're looking for one. And I see Tracy has popped the link in the chat box there too. And so the other things that are here on the website, oh, let's see, before we do that, I'm just going to introduce the next transmission. And so this month, I've begun to receive the energy, the information around what the next cycle of transmissions would be. So this will be the fourth year of the transmission. And they're called New Human Journeys, Meditative Transmissions in the Quantum DNA Field. And so this was really exciting. And you'll see that each year I always receive geometrical patterns that kind of overlay the essence or the energy. So if you kind of look behind the symbology in this icon, you'll see the Star of David pattern, the DNA structure. There's a pattern that I was shown as an activation of the I am presence that contained 12 circles of light around a central circle and the Star of David pattern. And so this was the best I could create to kind of represent what I was shown in my mind's eye, to represent the energy of what these new human journeys are really all about. So there's a cycle of 12 of them that will be given. And what they've explained is it's a graduation energy as we go into this next cycle. We're going to move deeper into the quantum DNA to further support you and humanity on the ascension journey as we prepare for the times to come. This year, the transmissions will evolve in a quantum way, and we will begin an accelerating process of energy activations within the quantum 24th chromosome. You can think of it as nurturing seeds that will really truly flourish in the future of humanity. This is to catalyze the integration of higher light patterns and fields of consciousness to anchor the evolving ascension energies. So this is where we're going in the next cycle. This is the cycle that will begin in October after New Human Genesis in September, which is the last transmission for this cycle. I just wanted to take a minute to introduce that. And in the next transmission, I'll actually give the themes of the transmissions being given. There was a shift in the delivery of this package of transmissions, and I was actually given the name of all 12 transmissions at the same time. Up until this point, I always received them in blocks of 3, but in the next cycle, for some reason, they gave me all the 12 transmissions at once. So that's interesting, but it's a shift in how they're being delivered. So next time when we're together, I'll give you the names of each of the transmissions, and we'll kind of go through the essence and the energy of what's happening in that place. Um, if you're looking to find links to join or to get tickets and that kind of stuff, everything is on the events page. And if you go to the events page, you'll see at the top, you can click here to go right down to transmissions and events. And then the transmissions are here, and we'll always keep a little tab for each of the transmissions. So if you click on it, it'll take you to the link specific for the registrations. And in the next transmission in this cycle, we'll be turning to New Human Genesis, which is the last transmission of the cycle. And on the website, there is the little store, and that's where you'll find all the things related to products, the Syrian bracelet, the Syrian essence, the Unity Field healing bracelets, that kind of stuff. So if you go into the store section on the page, you'll find that there. And like I said, the events will always be there. We have a practitioner training coming up in November online. This is the last Unity Field healing training for practitioner training for the year 2022. And we have our first in-person training scheduled for next year in Rochester with our beloved friend Sheila. I think Sheila is online with us tonight. So big hug to Sheila, and we're super excited about moving back into the physical world of teaching in person next year too. So we'll have a session in person in Rochester, New York in April. And there's space left in the online practitioner training for November if people are interested. And eventually we'll release dates for online trainings in 2022 in North America, time for Europe, and time for Australia, as we did this past year. So that's it. So let's take a little break now, and then we'll meet back and we'll go into the transmission. I have 8:15 local time. So let's take a 15-minute break, and we'll meet back at 30 on the hour, and we will do our Syrian transmission. Okay, have a good break, and we'll see you all real soon. All right. So, welcome back, everybody. I'm just going to do a little sound check and make sure that you guys can hear okay. Maybe you can type in the chat box and let me know. Perfect. So, we are going next to do the meditation transmission. So, many of you have attended lots of these, so you know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to meditate together. We're going to go into a space where we set the energy and go into a collective meditation. And then we're going to go on a little journey. And what happens in the transmissions is I'm seeing things in my mind's eye and I'm explaining what I'm seeing, kind of like reporting energy, telling you what I'm seeing as we go through the experience. And it's really just meant to be a guide for the process. People listening will sometimes listen to the words and they'll follow along, or sometimes they'll even see what I'm saying before I even say the words. But other times people will notice they're kind of drifting out and it's like it's hard to pay attention to the words. All that means is you're going into a deeper state of energy experience. And sometimes you'll do that in your soul when you're integrating energy. So don't worry if you can't follow along or you lose track of the guidance. Just stay with your own internal experience, even if you don't hear the words, because the energy is really what's guiding the process. And as we go along in the journey, different things happen. And then there's a point where the Syrians will come forward and usually deliver a channeled message for the group related to the theme of the energy that we're doing in the transmission. So, and then at the end, I will normally just go quiet. I will stay online and people can comment in the chat box or share and exchange, but we'll go quiet and I'll turn off the sound and we'll kind of allow the energy after the meditation to remain still. Many people like to stay in the meditation for a period of time after we finish the transmission. So I'll kind of guide us out for people who want to come out of the meditation, but leave a space for people to stay in the meditation if that's what you want to do. And so, but then I'll be quiet. We won't really comment and I won't say anything or share anything. That's why I like to get all the other information out before we do the transmission. So that's how it works. And you guys are pros at this now. So let's all together get ready to go into meditation together. You'll just want, you can do this either sitting up or lying down. You'll just breathe into your body. Just allow yourself to breathe physically into your body and just release any energy, any stress, any tightness in your body. Just breathe in and imagine it's just melting away as you exhale and let it go. And as you draw your consciousness inside your body in this way, let your point of focus, your concentration shift as if it's moving from your head down to your heart. And you find yourself sitting as if you're in the middle of your heart. And as we position ourselves in consciousness this way, you become aware of your heartbeat, the energy pulsing through your body with each beat. And the light, the energy in the heart chakra begins to expand as if a light bulb is being turned up. There's a brighter glow of light, and the energy from the heart center begins to move all through the body. You'll feel it like a gentle wave as it moves through your chest, through all the tissues of your body, up to the surface of the skin, and it begins to move into an expanding field or bubble of light that extends all around your body for many, many feet. And you're sitting in the middle of this energy. And as the energy gently pulses, it's getting brighter and stronger. It moves up and down through the core energy in your body. This is a column of energy within your energy system. You feel an energy that rises like a ray of light out through the top of your head, through the crown chakra. An array of light that moves down through your body, through the lower part of the body, the perineum, and extends below you. If it's moving into the crystalline energy of the earth, and you feel your connection to the earth in this space. And as your energy expands and you feel this connection to the earth, you can send an energy through intention in honor of the earth, gratitude for the experience of being present and being part of this incarnational cycle. All of nature and her beauty, all of life. And as the energy rises up through your body, you make a connection with the energy above you. Conceptually, we can see this as connecting with the world of spirit, your higher self, your guides, the energy of star families that work with the earth cooperatively through its evolution and ascension. You feel as this happens, a beautiful flow of energy begins to move in through the core energy in your body from above and below. And it creates a spiraling energy that forms a beautiful torus of light, like a donut shaped ring of light all around your body. You just breathe into the experience as the energy expands in this way. You feel the support you have from the earth below, all of the force of spirit above, and your presence, the bridge of consciousness between these planes in your physical form. And we just allow ourselves to be immersed in the energy of this toroidal field and allow yourself to receive from the energy that's flowing in this moment, to move through your body to support you. Lift the energy of your cellular structure, flow through your etheric body, your mental body, your emotional body. And you can feel there's a gentle cleansing of vibration, like the energy is helping to reset the energy within you. Just let anything that wants to move through the flow of this energy, any restrictions in the body, any thoughts or feelings, just let the energy work with you in a really beautiful way. And as the energy is moving all around you, your vibration begins to feel like it's shifting up or rising. It's as if you're floating or lifting in your body, above your body, into the space above your body. And like you're rising, going higher, and you remain connected to your physical body, but there's a part of you that is extending or rising in vibration and into a space or a dimension, if you will, above. And you find as you float up, we all join together in a quantum space, a quantum room, and we're all sitting together in a circle, facing inward in the experience of the meditation. And as we merge together in this way, you can feel the energy of each person that they bring to the circle and how powerful it is. And in a catalytic way, you can feel that your energy is supported exponentially by joining together in the energy of a group of beings with a common focused intention. And as this happens, you'll notice the energy in your system gets even stronger. And as we sit in a circle, we can see above the space where we're sitting, a geometry of light begins to take form. It has the shape of a pyramid with four sides and a square base, and it's hovering as if floating in space just above us in the group. And the structure is made of a golden light, but it's translucent. The pyramid begins to spin very gently in a clockwise orientation. And as it's spinning, the apex of the pyramid becomes very bright, like a star, very luminous. And there's a beautiful pulse of light that begins to move down over the pyramid. And the energy in the pyramid becomes very strong. And a beautiful field of light forms inside the structure of the pyramid. And it's like an oscillating Star of David pattern that expands and moves in a quantum way, creating a Sri Yantra type of an energy pattern or a multi-layered Star of David pattern. And the energy builds and becomes very intense, and it begins to descend in the form of the ball down into the center of the circle. And it hovers in the middle of the circle like a quantum field or quantum ball of light, like a dancing starlight of energy. And as the energy pulses and moves, it sends out little radiations of energy, little pulses of energy that move like waves to the outer periphery. And you feel these little pulses of energy that move through your body, transmitted by the energy of the field in the center of the circle. We just pause for a moment to allow your body to attune to these energies. Just let the energy move through your body like a wave or a song that's singing through your body. And as this is occurring, you'll notice in your own energy system that your chakra system, your internal energy system, becomes very active. And as I look around at the group, we can see the light in all the chakras from the base all the way up through the crown, becoming brighter and luminous in each person. And each chakra is pulsing like it's contracting and expanding, like the light in the chakra is contracting and expanding ever so gently. And with each pulse, it's sending energy into the energy field around your body. And as the energy expands in this way, we begin to see within the field of energy around us, a crystalline form begins to take shape or become visible as the energy is shifting in vibration. And you notice around your body this form of a large double helix of energy or light. And this energy pattern extends well above your body and far below your body, as if you're standing in this double helix structure or sitting in this double helix structure. And as the energy intensifies it more and more, it becomes more visible and you're more aware of its presence around you. From the central ball of quantum light in the middle of the group, there are rays of light that extend like small fractals of light, and it sends a beam of light or little sparks of light into the quantum structure around your energy field. And the light in this quantum structure begins to dance like little sparks or starlets of light begin to activate through the whole quantum structure, like little blasts or pops of light. And as the energy goes through this experience, you'll feel within your body the vibrations of the energy. You may notice a little pulse of energy or a little wave of energy in your physical body and in your energy system, your sensory system. And as this is occurring, there are little filaments of light that take form within the DNA structure. And the filaments become very bright and luminous like a white starlight. And as they dance and move within the quantum DNA system, you can see there are little channels or filaments of light that move and become activated in the process of this energetic attunement. And there's nothing here to do, just to allow yourself to observe, to experience, to feel. And there are beautiful colors that begin to take form within the DNA helix. You see little arrays of light, beautiful magentas and purples and blues and greens dancing within the helix as the energy filaments are activated in this way. As you hold your energy in the meditation, we can see within the helix, as if we look upward in our mind's eye, a beautiful geometry of light begins to descend. And it has the form of a double-sided octahedron. And the energy of this pattern moves down and it merges with your physical body and your energy system as if you're sitting inside of this double-sided pyramid, this octahedron of light. And the energy that's activating in the field around you begins to send pulses or vibrations that dance on the surface of this structure. And as this happens, the structure itself becomes more alive, as if it's singing or vibrating with energy. And it begins to fill with light. And it creates a structure as if it's cocooning you in the space, holding your energy system within the geometrical structure of this pattern, holding the light that's flowing into the structure around you to help you attune to it and to integrate the energy that it brings. And we can feel ourselves how deeply we are connected to the crystalline energy of the planet at this moment. And just allow yourself to receive an attunement of energy from the earth. Let your body connect to the earth energetically. Feel the energy flowing into your system from the earth. How deeply we're loved by the planet, the Mother Gaia, the Pachamama. And above the group in this meditation, a swirl of energy begins to take place. And it begins to open a channel like a portal of light. And as we look up, it's as if we can see the stars of the cosmos, the galaxy, all through the space above us as we sit here together in this quantum room. You may see stellar beings, light beings that are joining in this moment together with us in the meditation, in the energy. Different light beings from various parts of the galaxy, the star systems. And you feel the presence of really powerful geometrical forces that we recognize as angelic forces of light. And they're hovering with us, above us in this space. And we just pause for a moment in a sacred communion with these light beings and angelic forces, with each other and with the earth. And the beings above us begin to sing as if they're sending out a melody of vibration and sound. And this energy forms a swirl in the space above us, and it begins to descend downward over the pyramid like a wave of energy. And it flows down through and around the pyramid, all over each one of us, like a beautiful shower of light that moves down. And it creates a space, an energy, a big field or ball of light that further supports us in the energy of the transmission. And then around the pyramid of light at the top of the group, a beautiful field of light begins to form, like a ball of light, white, tinselly starlight with a tinge of blue. And it moves as it cascades down over the pyramid. And it forms a ring of light around the group behind us where we're sitting in the meditation. And from the ring of light, there emerge an array of light beings. And behind each person, they're holding the energy field to support you in the integration and reception of the energies in this attunement. And as they support the energy in this way, a beautiful flow of light begins to descend through the DNA helix around your body, as if it's washing down through the structure of the helix and dancing through the filaments, the little tendrils of light that have formed within the structure, activating the energy. And again, there's an array of colorful bursts of light creating different colors or different vibrations within our DNA system, different in each person and beautiful like a rainbow. And again, we pause just for a moment to attune to the energy, just to receive the energy. You'll feel the love. And the energy of the light beings behind us begins to relax just a little. Recognize the energy as the Syrian collective that are with us in this experience. And there's an energy that flows through the light beings in a ring, as if it's activating the energy within their system. And as this occurs, we prepare ourselves to receive a message that they hold to deliver to us in the transmission. Dearest beings of light, we join you once again in this transmission where you journey into the power of your awakening quantum nature. You see, dear ones, we are working within the recesses of the quantum field of the DNA system with you to help you in the supportive recalibration of your energy system to allow you to receive in more direct communion a conscious connection with the elements of your soul. We have spoken often and widely about the nature of the 24th chromosome. And we focus our attention at this time on the concept of restranding the DNA. We say to you, the strands are not physical structures. They are quantum filaments of light and information that are a mosaic composite within the fabric of the DNA system. This is a difficult concept to understand at first in the physical form. So we invite you to relax your thinking around the concept and simply experience the power of this internal communion. You see, dear ones, you are at the threshold of a new world. There are many changes that are occurring on the planet. And we say to you that you are part of this energetic evolution. It was written in your soul to be part of this transformation as the earth journeys through this moment in time. Your history on the earth is long and varied. You have many memories and subconscious memories of other experiences and other incarnations, and incarnations yet to come. But you see, dear ones, you are learning to embody in the form world a communion with all of these aspects of yourself in a more conscious way while you are manifest in the form world. We say to you, the energy of the DNA system is profound, and you are beginning to experience the light fluctuations that interface between this quantum structure and world of energy and the human energy system you hold in your body. Historically, these were held separate in consciousness to allow the experience of human life in the world of duality. But as you evolve and ascend into the world becoming, you will see that this will serve you less. And as you awaken to your spiritual essence, the communication is necessary to help you hold consciousness of this world of spiritual reality. Dear ones, each one of you is learning to commune more directly and more intently with the invisible world of quantum forces that exist external to the physical world of manifest creation. You are learning to encounter these energies and allow them to assist you through their vibratory resonance and harmonic order to restructure your energy system to one that will support you more clearly in the energy of the future to be. This is a necessary preparation. And while this sounds magical and magnificent, we must acknowledge that it comes with challenge. You see, dear ones, we understand it is not at times easy to receive the energy and integrations that are part of this transformation. It is one of the many reasons we love you dearly. And it's one of the many reasons for which you have volunteered to be part of the transformation. In the recesses of your being, you know much more than you do in the conscious mind of your personality. You are aware of the essence of what is taking place, and you understand the call in your soul to be part of the evolving journey. And we commend you in your courage, your tenacity, and the magnificence of your spirit as you participate with perfection in this ride. We say to you, dear ones, once again, the energies of the earth and humanity's life upon her surface are turbulent in many ways at the moment. But we promise you this is a transient experience that is part of the awakening process. For you see, dear ones, as humanity evolves, It must learn more and more purely to choose in consciousness its destiny. And there are many events which trigger reflection, heartbreak, hope, and love, all destined to be part of weaving a fabric of energy that will serve as the foundation for the energy of the world to come. This process is at once very complex and very simple. And we invite you to live the experience from the posture of your heart. It is time for you to understand the power you hold within you to convey the peace of your spirit every second of every day, every moment in time. You are a being of magnificent wisdom, deep compassion, profound spiritual love, and wisdom beyond measure. As you journey into the vibrations of a rising energy and consciousness, you are part of the shift that is bringing into the world of form the possibility that the ascension contains seated within its understanding and wisdom. While you observe the events around you with the posture of an ascended spirit, you are not simply an observer in the process of ascension. You see, dear ones, you are the ascension. It is the embodiment of the ascension that will bring forward the energy into the manifest world. This will allow you a shift of perspective to understand your potential to live from this ascended posture of consciousness. But as you align your consciousness in this orientation, we remind you you are not alone. You see, dear ones, the tools and the opportunities that you are given to help accelerate the process of energetic transformation are there by merit. It is the magnificence of your spirit that has called the beauty of such transformation upon you. And in that journey, while you travel together in this beautiful group, we too are with you in consciousness, in heart, and in spirit. And we remind you as we journey together, you are not alone. We remind you that through the light of the eternal Sun, together with you, we are one. And then gently, as we hold ourselves in the energy of the experience, we can see the light behind us begins to ascend back over the group, over the pyramid, and rises into a space above the pyramid, dissolving as it rises. And the pyramid above us begins to dissolve gently as if evaporating into the space around it. And the beautiful light at the center of the circle pulses as it contracts and expands, sending a beautiful array of light and energy through the whole group simultaneously. And then gently in your consciousness, you begin to feel yourself more present in your energy, more present in your body. And the energy field around you begins to slowly contract and settle down. The DNA becomes less and less visible, but still present in the space around you. And energetically, you feel as if you're descending a little back down into your physical body, like you're floating down into your body. And then you feel your consciousness more present in your body. Just take a moment to feel that as you sit in your body in this way. And at this moment, you can stay in meditation if you choose. And if you're ready to leave the meditation, you can feel yourself become more present in your body. Wiggle your toes, your fingers, and just allow yourself to more fully integrate back into the physical form. And we'll stay quietly in the background for those who want to share in the comments. And for those who want to stay in meditation, you can stay in this deep and beautiful space as you integrate these energies. And to each and every one, I send a big hug, lots of love and appreciation for who you are, for everything about you, for being present in this group as we experience these transmissions together. And I look forward to seeing you all next month online as we experience the transmission of new human genesis. Blessings to all. Lots of love and a big hug.